Welcome to my daily devotional for Friday, the 11th of November, and we continue reading from Galatians chapter 2 and verse 10. Only that we should remember the poor. This I was also keen to do. Perhaps a question we might consider is whether or not Jesus was poor in the physical sense. He said, "The foxes have holes and the birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man does not have a place where he might lay down his head." And that's from Luke chapter 9 and verse 58. Being a traveling preacher and teacher, Jesus would have to rely on the hospitality of his fellow Jews. An example of this would have been his staying in the home of Lazarus and his sisters Mary and Martha. We also know that some of the women supported Jesus and his disciples. They may have had some extra funds available to the disciples, since the disciples thought that Judas was sent by Jesus to either buy bread or give something to the poor. And this is what we read. For some, this is on the Last Supper, for some thought since Judas had the money bag, Jesus told him to buy what we needed for the feast, so that he could give something to the poor. And that's in John 13 and verse 29. However, we do not really know how Jesus and his disciples supported themselves, except from the women's contributions. Supporting a rabbi was considered to be a pious act. However, a rabbi was legally bound to teach for nothing. It was not the professional ministry that we have today, which follows the New Testament teaching of Paul in his letter to Timothy. For he wrote, "For those elders who govern well, let them be deemed worthy of double honor, especially those working hard in the word, that is, preaching and teaching. For the scripture says, 'Do not muzzle,' that stifle, a cow when separating the grain or seed from the plant, that is threshing, and the workman is worth his wages." And that comes from 1 Timothy chapter 5 and verses 17 and 18. And we will continue looking at this tomorrow. Have a great day in the grace of God.